Karma is the GOAT pick. She is the most broken champion right now in this patch. She is the hot pick. You need to ban her. Karma support, an absolute playmaking beast. A playmaking beast. She has the crowd control. She has the poke. She has so much utility. Hey, what's up guys? Darkbreaker here, aka Professor Breaker here, with an updated version of my tier list I made for patch 3.1. A few changes here and there, so let's get started. By the way, if you guys enjoyed those tier lists and you guys want to see more content like that, then definitely leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Also write down in the descriptions if you guys have any suggestions for future guides that you might want to see. Obviously right now I'm kind of trying to grind for challengers, so the guides have to wait a little bit for that one, but afterwards I will try to make a few guides there, here and there, maybe matchup guide. Also, tier lists are subjective. This is just my personal opinion on how I think the meta is right now for high elo, and this also applies for a lot of lower elo picks or lower elo ranks, where you can also orientate yourself. This is an orientation basically. Orientation means you look at this, you see, okay, these are champions that Darkbreaker think are strong and you can abuse and you can grind quickly. Obviously, you can pick a champion in C tier if you guys want to and still carry the game or still grind to Grandmaster or something. I'm just saying, if you go for the stronger picks, you probably have an easier time to grind up because those champions are for a reason so strong right now. So yeah. So let's get started with the Baron tier list. Darius right now, he is so broken, and solo queue, he's one of the best 1 vs 9 hard carry champions, especially in the Baron lane. The death dance makes him super strong. Once he gets one reset, he just wipes the enemy team completely. Pretty solid laning phase. He doesn't get countered too hard by majority of the champions, and he has true damage, which is awesome against champions that are running Sandra, trying to be more tanky. He still has the true damage, and he can still, I think the main reason is basically what I like about him: playmaking potential, good 1 vs 1 potential, true damage, and once he gets a reset with Noxus Might, he just wipes the entire team. Next one in the list is gonna be Fiora, of course, one of the strongest duelists in the game, one of the best 1 vs 1, very strong early game, great split pusher. Hullbreaker makes her insanely good at split pushing in the game. If you feel like you can't win team fights, just buy a Hullbreaker, just keep pressuring in the Baron lane. You win the 1 vs 1, win the 1 vs 2, create enough pressure, and if they just ignore you, you just get the Nexus. A very, very strong pick in my opinion. Also, once she gets ahead enough, she can join team fights and has great, actually not insane team fight value, but pretty good team fight value. Once she's ahead enough, she does so much damage. Hullbreaker Fiora, leave her alone, you have problem, and she pretty much wins almost every matchup if you play her well enough. Especially if you play against more tanky champions, just get the Sandra. Usually I would go Trinity, Blade of the Rune King, but you can just go Sandra, Blade of the Rune King if you are against a set, if you're against a Nasus, if you're against another champion that builds Sandra, just go for Sandra as well. Or if you're playing against a Shen, just build Sandra as well, or against a Malphite. And it gives, the new items just give her more options to split push better and itemize better. Next one, in my opinion, Camille. Very, very strong duelist, strong split pusher, good team fight value. I really like her playmaking potential with her ultimate, catching people. She's very good at countering hard carries and assassins. Very good split pusher with Hullbreaker. Honestly, if you leave her alone for a few seconds, she just gets the turrets, and then she can rotate super quickly with Hookshot again. Next one in the list, Nasus. You guys might be surprised. Darkbreaker is not a good pick. I would say he is situational, definitely. But if you pick him into the right team comp, he is unstoppable. If you don't face a laner that has very strong early game and true damage, for example, who is, I would say, a Fiora is very obnoxious to deal with. A good Renekton is obnoxious. Set can be obnoxious as well, but you outscale him. Darius might be really obnoxious, but I think you're winning this matchup as well later on. If you just play safely, level 8 plus with Hullbreaker, Divine Sundra, his trading is too strong, his split push is insane, he's unstoppable. If you're not playing against a champion that has true damage, Nasus becomes an unstoppable split pushing force, and if you just let him farm up too much, Divine Sundra, Hullbreaker, Nasus is so freaking strong. Definitely check out the video I've made on him, on how to play him on the new patch. If you know the matchups, if you know how to play him, if you know how to lane correctly, don't play too aggressively, don't fuck up the wave. Most Nasus players just fuck up the wave, use the third ability incorrectly. That's a mistake. Don't spam your mana too much. Try to play it safely. Try to freeze the lane. Try to farm up as much as possible. You can also go for aggressive trades. Nasus is actually very good at trading aggressively. Don't get cheesed, don't get cheesed by Aurelia or Riven in the early game. You can easily just out-sustain them and play it safely. So Nasus, in the right hands, into the right opponents, can be very, very good. I've played recently against Random, and he was Morgana APC with Thresh. I was so strong, I was hard carrying, but against certain comps, when they have too much crowd control, Nasus might struggle. But to be fair, I had 2 ADCs that were inting. But I would say he's very, very strong. Don't underestimate him. Next one, Set in the list. Very strong duelist, great team fight, has the true damage as well. I think Set is very, very strong and is great at team fighting. Good pick-up potential and good crowd control overall. Renekton, super strong laner right now. The death dance Renekton makes him even more strong right now. Yeah, Blade of the Rune King, Black Cleaver, Death Dance, Derrock's Gage, Renekton. Strong duelist, great team fighter, good frontliner, overall very solid. Garen, still S tier, kind of fell off because I honestly don't see Garen players anymore. I think the main reason is because of Sundra, because Sundra works so well against him. Especially Hullbreaker, Sundra. Champions that build that, I think Garen can't stop them anymore just because of the true damage. Fiora with Sundra does true damage and maximum HP physical damage on top of that. Yeah, he just struggles against Sundra champions because they have so much sustain now, and they do, the more HP someone has, the more damage they're taking as well. Riven after the buffs, I think she's very strong, but not enough for S+ tier. I think the solid S tier. Mainly because you're so reliant on hard snowballing. If you don't hard snowball from the get-go in the early game, you will probably struggle. Next one is going to be Wukong. Wukong Divine Sundra, also pretty solid. Oh, true, I wanted to play that more often. I feel like Divine Sundra makes you very good in the laning phase, but kinda counterproductive in the team fights. Because if you just go Black Cleaver, Derrock's Gage, you are probably better in the team fights than if you go Black Cleaver, Divine Sundra or Divine Sundra, Black Cleaver. Because it will delay your tankiness in team fights, but it definitely makes your laning phase much, much stronger. So it's a pretty solid pick, good laning phase, very good into Fiora actually, and great team fight value. Aurelia after the buffs, super, super strong. I don't think it's enough for her to get into the S+ tier, because she just struggles in the 1v1 matchups against, I would say Fiora, she kind of struggles. Nasus completely outscales her. Set, I would say, also wins it, and Renekton also wins the matchup, I would say. If she snowballs, she can pop off like crazy, but I feel like Aurelia in the mid lane is easier to get working than in the mid lane. Jace, kinda tricky. I think he's still very good, but a lot of champions are just gonna buy Divine Sundra to get more sustain, get the Death Dance as well for more armor right now. He's still pretty good, but just S tier. Gragas top lane, I think he's pretty strong. You can build him with a hybrid build. You can build him full AP. You can build him full tanky. You can go with the Bimbo Winter build right now. Diana. I think Diana is super strong in this meta right now because everyone is building Death Dance, and Death Dance doesn't give you HP anymore, it just gives you armor right now. So Diana actually very good in this meta to counter a lot of champions that are buying Death Dance early, and she's also great duelist and really strong in team fights. Next one is gonna be Jax. Jax with the Hullbreaker. I think split push wise, he is very good. But the thing is the laning phase. He struggles into a lot of matchups, to be fair. So I'm just gonna put him S tier, not S plus tier. I mean, I told you guys it's just for overhyped clickbait. But yeah, he's S tier. Honestly, honest opinion, S tier. You could argue that Nasus is not S plus tier. But I think if you are really good at Nasus and you know what you're doing, you can definitely make him work, getting him into S plus tier. Let's say, if you're a very skilled Nasus player, S plus tier. If not, then just S tier. But I assume my viewers are skilled Nasus players, of course. Next one is gonna be Shen. I honestly thought he would be stronger. I've seen one Shen player doing insane amount of work. Let me check his build really quick. He's going Wits End second. That guy is really good. He's going Sunfire, Wits End, Run Ruins, and he's going for Weakness. Now, this guy is a really good Shen player, and so far he's doing a lot of good work. But whenever I played Shen, I felt like he's kind of weak in the early game in comparison to a bunch of champions. Darius counters him, Fiora counters him, Camille counters him, Nasus free scales against the Shen as well. Set very good against Shen as well. I would say Renekton bullies Shen kinda as well. But if you're against a Riven, for example, against Aurelia, against champions that don't have too much sustain and have physical damage, I would say Shen is very good in those cases. But he feels kind of weak early and he has a lot of bad matchups. So I'm just going to put him S tier. Okay, next one's going to be Yasuo. I know I put him S tier last time. I tried to hype him up a little bit. But no one played Yasuo so far in the top lane. And I feel like there are not that many Yasuo OTPs that are really good. And if they're good, they are playing him in the mid lane. I think potential-wise it could be S tier. He does have some bad matchups, but he's very strong right now. Honestly, the buff on him makes him very strong. I mean, last time my explanation was if you're a proficient skill player, it's S tier, and if not, it's just A tier. But since you guys are not watching anyways, the whole explanation, I'm just gonna put him A tier before some people are complaining, because I'm not marking them a skill player as S tier. I assume you guys are not skilled players, so I'm just gonna put them A tier. Ha! You just got burned if you're watching. I could do the same for... wait, which champion would I want to put down? For Nasus. That's whatever. Clickbait. Next one is gonna be Olaf. I think Olaf is pretty solid into a bunch of matchups that are more tanky, like a Shen, for example. He has good counter. Maybe a Nasus, he can counter him as well, thanks to his true damage. Kind of situational in the top lane because he also has a lot of bad matchups, and into the right team comp because he might get kited if you're playing him against a Vayne or against a Lucian or Ezreal, etc. Next one is going to be Akali. Pretty good assassin, but weak in the early game right now, especially in the top lane. She has a bunch of bad matchups in the early game at least, and I feel like in the mid lane she has a better time and has better potential to carry. And I feel like if people just play Divine Sandra against Akali, they become unkillable for her. So yeah, just A tier canon. Divine Sandra Hullbreaker is just makes him weaker in this meta right now. I don't see any canon top lanes. Akshan, I was told, oh yeah, you can go for the Akshan. Oh, I just realized the camera. Let me move the camera, just realized. Hullbreaker Akshan in the top lane, but I think it's just gonna be A tier. He can counter some matchups, but at the same time, when it comes to ADCs, I feel like, yeah, sure, you can counter some matchups, but at the same time, you're pretty vulnerable to ganks, and you can get punished very easily. Same applies for Lucian and Vayne. But Akshan does have decent amount of mobility though. So Hullbreaker Akshan, maybe I will try it out, but I think A tier is a pretty fair placement. Mundo in the top lane, I honestly don't see that many Mundo top lane players, and Divine Thunderer is a great counter into Mundo right now. I think he still makes it into the A tier though, maybe lower A tier. By the way, I don't put them in order, by the way, but in this case, I'm just gonna say and show it. Okay, this is lower A tier. Jarvan top lane, very solid, tanky, teamfight based champion. Can hold the lane pretty well into most champions. But if you're laning against a Hullbreaker Divine Thunderer champion, you might be in for trouble because you can't leave the lane, you can't join those teamfights. Otherwise, your turrets are gone. And Divine Thunderer very good into Jarvan right now. Because you do more damage, you get more sustain against the airy Jarvan poke, so yeah. Pantheon, really snowball reliant and snowball early game. If you play against a Divine Thunderer champion, you probably don't kill him. And you can't snowball then. The meta is actually nerfing him. If people go Divine Thunderer Death Dance, I don't think you can do anything as Pantheon. You need to get the first blood at level 2 or level 3. But if you don't get it, you just fall off so hard. And you're never going to be able to hold the lane. And you're never going to win the lane as well. Let's say these champions are building Divine Thunderer Hullbreaker. What do you do? Or Divine Thunderer Death Dance? What do you do as a Pantheon? You can't win. You can never hold the lane, you can never win it. Next one, Lee Sin, kinda cheesy pick in the top lane. If you're a skilled Lee Sin player, you can definitely make him work in the top lane. Graves Hullbreaker, I was told, is pretty strong. Random told me it's S tier. But honestly, I've never seen a good Graves player in the top lane so far. I think he's the only... I think it's just random difference. I think random can make it work, but majority of players can't make him work in the top lane. I think he's better in the jungle anyway, so I'm just gonna put him A tier right here. He's kind of situational. He can counter some matchups. But it's not like he is super broken to hard counter a certain champion. Malphite kind of falling off, same as Mundo because of Divine Thunderer. Divine Thunderer plus Hullbreaker is just nerfing Malphite in general because makes the laning phase harder, makes roaming harder because you will just lose 2 turrets if you're roaming, and you can never win 1v1 against a Hullbreaker Divine Thunderer player. Hullbreaker, Tryndamere, honestly, very solid. I feel like he wins a lot of matchups. He wins Aurelia, he wins Riven as well. He probably wins against the Jace as well, with a Ghost running them down. But overall, he's very solid split pusher, good in the lane actually. Solid A tier. Malphite and Mundo I already explained. I think Malphite is much better than Mundo. I don't think people are losing against Mundo right now if they have Divine Thunderer. Malphite still has the ultimate value though, so he's okay for that. Alistar top lane, a kinda troll, but kinda works as well against if you're against a Riven, if you're against a Aurelia. I think it's working pretty well because they don't have the sustain against you. Actually, they can just go Divine Thunderer now. Divine Thunderer nerfs Alistar top lane as well. Same for Singe. Any tanky champion is getting nerfed by the Divine Thunderer because they can't hold the lane. They just need to cheese and try to snowball and try to roam, make plays happen. Kind of situational, but you can make them work. And you still have the engage value, etc. Singe, same explanation. Vayne and Lucian, same explanation as Akshan. They are pretty good at countering certain matchups. And they're like, Vayne almost wins against most champions 1v1. But you get countered very easily if the jungler just camps you. Same for Lucian. And Lucian is not as strong 1v1 as a Vayne, for example. A good Vayne actually counters a lot of those matchups just because of the range advantage and the ultimate. She's actually very strong 1v1. Almost unplayable. Then Kayle, she is F tier. She's so weak in the top lane. Rengar is so troll in the top lane. It's really just a cheesy... If you're a one-trick pony, you can make him work in the Baron lane. But I don't think it's good at all. And usually, if you play Rengar in the top lane, you're just griefing. Next one is going to be jungle. I was right. I told you guys. I told you Prediction Breaker is right. Master Yi, insanely broken. Super, super fucking strong. Abuse him as long as you can. By the time you're watching this, he might be nerfed already, or maybe not. But yeah, need to abuse him. Next one is gonna be Olaf. Olaf, honestly, I have to say my two favorite champions I like to play the most. I mean, Master is always banned, but I play Olaf and Camille most of the times. Those two I play the most, and I think those two are insanely good. Olaf, Death Dance, Trinity, Death Dance, Sterk's Gauge, or Trinity, Sterk's Gauge, Death Dance. His 1 vs 9 potential is just insane, and he can just run down so many team comps, especially if they have crowd control. One of the best champions in the game to counter crowd control team comps, and insane jungle clear, good 1 vs 1. You get level 4, he's one of those champions that can actually go for 4 camp clear without being too late for the scuttle. Very good champion. One of my favorite champions right now. Camille also. Great ganking potential and great 1 vs 9 potential. Just, I think she has insane 1 vs 9 potential in this game right now. Her roaming potential, her split push potential, her teamfight potential, her ganking potential. It's just all very good. Lee Sin, one of the best gankers and snowballers in the game. Very good assassin and playmaker. Same applies for Kha'Zix. Those two champions are two of the best assassin playmaking snowballing champions. Then Fiora, one of the best duelists in the game. Very strong in the early game. Great at snowballing. And it's just a super strong duelist. Then next one, Graves. Like, those champions are like, I like them and I put them S+ tier because they have insane 1 vs 9 carry potential. Even if you have bad teammates, you might be able to carry those games just because they are great at snowboarding and great at carrying the game and great at winning 1 vs 2 or 1 vs 3. Next one is gonna be Grace. Grace with the Storm Razor and with the buff on the first ability is very, very strong right now. I would say he's kind of slow in the early game maybe, but once you have 2-3 core items, he is absolutely crazy and he hurts like a truck. Next one is going to be Jax. Actually, Jax is getting a lot of target bans right now. But Jax, a very strong split pushing champion right now in this game. Good scaling, good 1 vs 9 potential. Next one is going to be Jarvan. Dude, fucking Vex is spamming so much, man. Next one is going to be Jarvan. Jarvan with the new items makes him very strong, good carry potential, overall super solid ganker and team fighter. Next one, Rengar. Rengar, and I'm going to put them both next to each other. Good champion to snowball in low elo, especially. Invisibility, you just free gank left and right, you snowball, you carry 1 vs 9. They are very, very good. But they might kind of struggle against the other champions in the 1 vs 1. Again, Lee Sin might just shit on them. But I mean, Rengar is pretty good 1 vs 1 as well. It depends. It depends. But I feel like a Rengar... I mean, Rengar is very good. I mean, I'm just gonna say they're very good. But I feel like the others are just better. Riven, very strong champion right now. Thanks to the buff and thanks to Death Dance, S tier. Darius, this champion is just so broken that you can just make him work in the jungle as well. And he's also pretty solid. Decent jungle clear. Good carry potential. Nunu, actually, a very obnoxious champion right now. He's like the AP version of Lee Sin, but much more tanky and great ganking potential as well. He just makes the team fight super hard because he's so tanky. Like, if you play against Nunu, you will struggle in team fights just because he's such an insane frontliner and has great crowd control. Gragas with AP. Gragas AP, honestly, so insanely strong right now in the jungle. He is just insane. If you guys need AP damage, he is definitely one of the go-to junglers right now. Very, very good. Jungle clear, very good. 1 vs 1, decent. And carry potential, also very good. He has like the catch potential with the ultimate, or the E-Flash, or the E-Proto Belt. Next one is gonna be Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao. Honestly, after the buff, I think he is a solid S tier. Maybe, yeah, solid S tier. Decent duelist, good frontline, good damage, good crowd control. They're decent duelist. S tier. He might not have the greatest 1v9 potential though, because he is not a super hard carry. Diana actually getting better in the jungle right now thanks to all the Death Dance abusers, since she is so strong in team fights and she does magical damage. Downside is she's kind of weak in the early game and her jungle clear is not the best. Jace in the jungle, I feel like he's just falling off in the meta right now. I don't know why exactly, but not that many people are playing him right now, and I feel like it might be because of Death Dance and everyone's just stacking much more armor quicklier. And everyone is just getting more tanky right now thanks to Divine Sundra, Hullbreaker, and Death Dance. Vi, a pretty solid champion in the jungle. I just feel like her carry potential is not that good because she's just an ultimate bot majority of the time. Morgana. I just feel like she's not the greatest ganker. I think that's the biggest issue. She doesn't have great 1v9 potential, and she's not the greatest ganker. Wukong actually pretty solid, but that's about it. Pretty solid teamfight based jungler. Decent ganking potential. Pantheon, great early game jungler, but he falls off. That's the main issue. Aurelia actually pretty... she's okay in the jungle. She's pretty strong right now. I think you can definitely make her work if you're proficient on Aurelia. But she kind of falls off in the late game. And I feel like she kind of struggles into certain matchups 1v1. Let's say against a Kha'Zix, against a Lee Sin, against an Olaf, or Graves. I think they're just beating up Aurelia. Or Jax as well. Jax counters her as well. Next one is going to be Set. I just feel like his jungle clear is not that good. And his ganking potential is okay. It's okay, but mainly about the jungle clear. He's a really slow farmer. Next one, Sinja. I think he's still fine. Honestly, he's still fine. If you need AP, I think he's a solid ganker. His jungle clear is okay-ish. But obviously he gets kited against a lot of team comps. Same for Mundo. Bad, I wouldn't say he's a good ganker. Not the greatest jungle clear. And Sandra nerfs him. Sandra just nerfs those two. Fizz, you should put him A tier. Fizz. I feel like the biggest issue about Fizz is his jungle clear is so bad. Is so bad. His ganking potential relies on the ultimate, so you can only gank with the ultimate, otherwise it's kind of hard to kill some people. Overall, he's not that bad in the meta right now, because he has AP damage. Maybe A tier. Maybe, I'm just gonna let him here. Tryndamere didn't receive any changes, he's just gonna stay here. I think he's in the solo lane, you can run Hullbreaker, but otherwise no major changes for him. He's not the greatest ganker. He gets kited into a lot of team comps, or crowd control can hurt him a lot. Next one's gonna be Amumu. Amumu's honestly so freaking weak in the early game, and his ultimate, he just doesn't do that much damage, and he's also not that tanky, and he has a bad early game. Shyvana relies too much on dragons. I really don't like her playstyle, because you rely too much on your teammates to have a brain and be useful for the dragon team fight. You really have to force every single dragon team fight, and sometimes you just can't force dragon team fights. And if you can't get the dragon, it's gonna hurt your carry potential a lot. Also, she's a bad ganker. But if you can farm up, you can maybe carry. But she relies too much on your teammates to carry games. Next one is gonna be Ramos. He really relies on getting some early free ganks going. If not, he's a very bad jungle farmer. He will have low gold, so not a big fan of him. His 1v9 carry potential is not good, because he's a tank, so you rely on your teammates to get ahead, and then they have to carry you because you're just a frontliner. Same applies for Shen. Shen has a bad jungle clear, and Shen is not that tanky as well. Plus, you rely so much on your teammates to do damage. I don't like tanky junglers, because you rely too much on your teammates to do damage and carry you, and all you do is provide crowd control. Not a fan of tanky junglers. They are not good at carrying a game 1 vs 9 in solo queue. That's the issue. That's the issue. Next one, mid lane. I think the biggest change is going to be Karma. This champion is broken. Putting Mantra onto the passive, making her being able to spam her abilities non-stop and doing tons of enchanted damage on the first ability, and the third ability for the extra movement speed, movement speed plus shield is too good. Karma is definitely the most broken champion in this patch right now. She's a must ban. Her ultimate is so good in team fights, her utility is so good, and her poke damage is crazy. Next one is gonna be Diana, one of the best AP assassin mages and insane in team fights. Great carry potential. Absolutely, if you're a good Diana player, you can carry so hard right now in this meta, because everyone is just stacking up armor because they are getting the death dance and they don't have that much HP then. So she's very, very good assassin and teamfight champion. Same for Katarina. I think she shines the most in lower elos. If you're a good Katarina, you get one reset, boom, everyone else is dead, you get a pentakill. She's one of the best snowballing champions and one of the best teamfight champions in low elo. I would say in master elo, she's still very good if you're a proficient Katarina player. Solo queue, she is insane. She's definitely insane. Yasuo. In the right hands, remember, right hands. If you are a skilled Yasuo player after the buffs, he is so strong right now. You can run Stormrazor, Infinity Edge, or Stormrazor, Blade of the Rune King, Infinity Edge, or something like that. Doing tons of damage, his Q, more range, and quicker. 3 items, he is absolutely unstoppable. Insane amount of damage, and his ultimate in combination with someone else into the right team comp, he can be super devastating. He's very, very strong in the right hands. I think a good Yasuo player is almost unplayable. A good Yasuo player that isn't inting. I've seen one Yasuo player lately. What he did was he used Protobolt. No, what was it? He just EQ'd on top of us with Flash, and then he 1 vs 3, he won it. That was so crazy. I was like, wow. It was, how do you call it? Keyblade? Airblade or something? He just was minion Protobolt, and then on top of us. Minion Protobolt and then Flash S1 on top of us. Wow! That was so quickly. I was, what? What happened? A good Yasuo player is disgusting. Aurelia, one of the very good, one of the best assassins in the game right now, one of the best solo queue champions, great 1 vs 9 carry potential, kind of puts up in the late game though. But yeah, definitely a buff for her, plus she got buffed in general. Ziggs, one of the best utility pokers, same for Orianna. Those champions are very good at stalling the game and very good at team fights, doing tons of damage. Honestly, let's just put Aurelion 8 here. Fizz, mid lane, assassin, super strong assassin right now. Same for Akali. Those two are very good assassins in general, great at snowballing. Fizz might kind of struggle in the early game, but in team fights he is very, very good. And he's just great at snowballing. Same for Akali, great team fight and great snowballer. Galio, good poking damage, good crowd control, good roaming potential, has the global ultimate as well. Same for Twisted Fate with the global ultimate, very, very strong. And good snowballing champion, can just apply so much map pressure, split pushing, and ganking left and right. Jace, a very strong poking champion still. I think in the mid lane he's doing a much better work than in the top lane right now. Zed kind of fell off right now. I think he's still S tier in the right hands. If you're a good Zed player, you can still make him work and do tons of damage. And he's a great assassin, great at snowballing the game. And then late game, he still does a lot of damage. Fiora, I feel like she's kind of underrated because she's a pick that's for a pro player. a very, very good one-trick pony. Fiora is gonna make her work in the mid lane, winning almost every matchup, and is great at snowballing, rotating, and ganking left and right. Especially if you have an APC in the bot lane. I think the Fiora mid lane is very, very good. Akshan in the mid lane. He does tons of damage. His revive is broken. Once you get one reset or a few resets in the team fights, he is so freaking strong, and his damage is crazy right now. Ahri, great roamer, great assassin, great playmaker, and snowballing champion. I feel like Aurelion is just not that strong. He's a strong champion, he's good at roaming, he's good in team fights, but I really haven't seen that many good Aurelions this patch. Maybe it's just because of the lack of Aurelion players, but I feel like the issue is just his laning phase, that he struggles into a lot of matchups. But if you, depends on the enemy. If the enemy just lets you roam, you can snowball, obviously. But he struggles into a lot of matchups, right? So if you're always shopped in, how can you roam then? That's the issue. Garen kind of falling off as well because of Divine Sandra champions right now. The meta just makes him weaker because everyone's just stacking Divine Sandra, and they just do so much damage onto Garen. Especially ADCs. Some ADCs are starting to play Divine Sandra, so they will do so much damage onto Garen right now, and he doesn't feel as tanky anymore. Corki in the mid lane, I think he's a solid A tier, but he has so many counter matchups, and he gets kind of bullied by so many assassins and poking. I feel like the poking champions just do way more value than him in team fights, and he will struggle against assassins, obviously, in the early game. Brand, good damage, good poke, but bad roaming potential. So he can't snowball as hard, but obviously in team fights he can be really good if you have the right front line. Morgana, I think she's a solid mage with great poke and great crowd control. Veigar as well. Not the greatest wave clear. Kinda slow when it comes to scaling and in team fights. He doesn't have the greatest damage output compared to a Ziggs or an Orianna. In 1v1 he's really not that good. He's getting countered by a lot of champions. Gragas, a solid AP champion in the mid lane. Pantheon, also decent in the mid lane, good at snowballing and good at roaming and rotating. But he definitely relies on having an easy matchup and snowballing. If you don't snowball, you will struggle and you will fall off in the late game. Lucian in the mid lane, I think, is a solid pick, but he might struggle into a lot of matchups. And I feel like his damage output might not rival that of a hard carry, like let's say hard carry assassin is just going to do much more value in team fights and is going to counter him in the lane, and Orianna or Ziggs are just going to do way more damage than Lucian in the team fights. And obviously I feel like it's just mainly because there are so many assassins in the mid lane that will make Lucian's life really, really hard. Kayle in the mid lane is okay-ish. She is kind of weak, very, very weak early, but at least in the mid lane she has more room to breathe and farm. Evelynn in the mid lane is kind of cheesy. You can make it work sometimes if you can snowball and then rotate left and right and try to gank. Yeah, snowball. Annie, kind of weak. Actually, she does have decent playmaking potential. I've seen a few good Annie players, but she's also very weak in the early game. When it comes to wave like wave control, she doesn't have the best wave clear. She has bad roaming potential, since if you roam, you get caught by an assassin, you're immediately dead. You really rely on the Protobot ultimate to make plays happen. Cannon, kind of weak right now. Bad wave clear. Ultimate isn't... Honestly, his ultimate is not that good. Seraphine has decent poke, bad roaming potential, but a good ultimate. Lux, decent wave clear, very bad roaming potential, and she gets countered by so many assassins. Sona, even worse wave clear, and she can never roam, and she only has the ultimate, and her ultimate is honestly not even that good compared to a bunch of other champions. Next one, ADCs. I think for ADCs, it honestly didn't change much. Vayne, still the most broken ADCs in solo queue in my opinion. Insane hard carry potential, just super, super strong. Especially with Lulu or Yumi, she's absolutely broken. Varus, one of the most broken ADCs, very good at poking and stalling the game and doing tons of damage. Same for Ziggs. Oh, Ziggs or Karma, Ziggs or Karma. Let's put Karma here as well. But the main issue about Karma is I never see her as an APC, very rarely. I think people just don't realize it yet. Ziggs, very strong APC, great poking potential. He's the king of stalling in the game and making your life hard, trying to force an objective. Very safe lane, hard to gank, strong team fight, insane poking damage. Exactly the same applies for Karma. Insane poking damage, tons of utility on top of that, and her ultimate is crazy for team fights, and she does tons of damage. Her cooldowns are just way too low and she does too much damage. Jhin after the buff and with Stormrazor is very strong S tier right now. Orianna, strong APC champion, but I just feel like she just doesn't do as much damage as these champions because they have longer range. They have longer range and better utility. Kai'Sa, very strong ADC champion right now, good at carrying the game. Same for Saya, she has the self-peel with the ultimate and great bait potential and good countering with the second ability. Lucian, great damage and good mobility. Same applies for Corki, insane in teamfights, good damage and good mobility. Jinx with the Stormrazor seems to be really, really strong right now. Like Lulu Jinx or Yumi Jinx, very, very good. And I feel like the Stormrazor just buffs her completely. Beforehand, she was... it just makes her stronger in the early game because her early game beforehand wasn't that strong. And she was really pretty good in the late game. If she gets a reset, she definitely lacks the mobility. But her 1 vs 9 potential, if she gets a reset, is pretty crazy. Especially if you play against a Jinx Lulu or Jinx Yumi. Draven kind of falling off right now with the charge blade nerf. I think he's still pretty good at snowballing the game if you're good on him. But he's definitely harder to play because he's kind of short range compared to the other ADCs. Ezreal, he's a pretty good ADC. He's very strong. He's kind of scaling though. He needs to scale. He needs the 3 items and he's kind of weak in the early game. And he doesn't have the greatest 1 vs 9 hard carry potential. He definitely is good at poking and he has good mobility, but he is very scaling. Misfortune, early game pretty strong, but late game she just doesn't have the insane 1 vs 9 hard carry potential and damage output compared to, let's say, the consistent damage output in team fights, Varus, Ziggs, Karma, Orianna, or the hard carry 1 vs 9 potential of Vayne, Kai'Sa, Saya, Lucian, or even Corki, Jinx. She just doesn't have it in comparison, but she definitely is strong in the early game. APC Morgana, a solid pick, decent damage. I would just say she just doesn't have the greatest 1 vs 9 hard carry potential. And it's hard to make her work, honestly. It's hard to make her work because you're reliant on your teammates. First of all, if you're picking APC, I think it's better in competitive. And it just doesn't have the same damage output compared to Ziggs, Orianna, or Karma. And you need to hit your binding. If you don't hit your binding, it's so hard. Brand, decent damage output. You rely so much on a good team comp because he is very easy to kill. He's very easy to kill because he's doesn't have a lot of mobility. Caitlyn has good damage, has good range, but doesn't have the crazy 1 vs 9 potential. Ashe, she got nerfed. She actually got nerfed. She is weak early game. She has lack of mobility, and she is not the crazy 1 vs 9 hard carry champion in the late game. Tristana, she is a good hard carry champion in the late game, but her early game is so weak in comparison to all of the other ADCs. So you need a lot of time to get going, but if you get going, she can definitely be strong. Vega, APC, really weak, useless. Senna, ADC, meh, I don't like it. It's kind of weak. If you want to play as a spot. Akshan, ADC, I think the lack of range right now on this champion in comparison to those in team fights, his damage potential is just not as good. So I think in the mid lane he's doing a much better job because then you still have an ADC who has the long range damage. But if he's the only long range range damage, he is really short ranged in team fights. So he can't maximize the damage in comparison to a lot of champions that are much more safer in team fights. Okay, let's go for supports. Karma is the GOAT pick. She is the most broken champion right now in this patch. She is the hot pick. You need to ban her. Karma support, an absolute playmaking beast. A playmaking beast. She has the crowd control. She has the poke. She has so much utility. She has here a shield. She has a root. She has the ultimate, insane ultimate that puts everyone together in team fights. Her utility is just absolutely crazy, and her cooldowns are too low. Thresh, Rakan, insane playmaking champions, good at carrying games. You just roam and try to make plays happen, try to snowball left and right. Nami, a great enchanter, great peeler with tons of crowd control and good carry potential. The Nami bubble can be insane in team fights. The Nami ultimate can also be insane. Alistair Gregors are very good carry potential, or carry supporters with great roaming potential, but I just feel like they don't have the same insane roaming and carry potential to a Thresh or Rakan. Obviously, a roaming Alistair can do a lot of work. He has the AoE knock-up, he has the just WQ combo, just catching people left and right. He's super tanky with his ultimate. Gregor's also good carry potential with a good ultimate. He has a dash. The second ability makes him more tanky, and he does have a little bit of poke with the first ability, but not too much. I put Yuumi S tier and not S plus tier because you are too reliant on your ADC to have brain. If it was a duo, if I'm talking about duo queue, I would say Yuumi S plus tier, but I'm gonna give credit to you guys. You said, yeah, for solo queue, Yuumi is not as good because if your ADC is bad, you have a problem, and that's true. I would say in high elo, I would always ban Yuumi, but in lower elos, I would say she's just a solid S tier. You can obviously still attach yourself to a jungler, for example, that is carrying or into the mid laner, but if your ADC is very bad, then you will struggle in the early game completely. But definitely in high elo is the S plus tier pick, especially if you play duo queue. If you play duo queue, she's the S plus tier. Next one, Blitzcrank. I think I put my prediction A tier, right? Is he honestly A tier? Nah, he's B tier. He is honestly B tier. I put Senna A tier, honestly B tier. Lulu. Should I put the S tier? I mean, if you see these picks, these champions are very, very good. Let's see if I should move. I think they're very, very solid. Maybe you should put Lulu up. But you're an enchanter, you don't have insane playmaking potential. It's like more a duo queue pick as well. Lulu, insane enchanter with a good Vayne, with a good Jinx, for example. You just speed them up. You are strong early game for when it comes to poking damage. But you rely on your ADC so much to be a good carry, or on your Olaf, for example. Janna as well. Good roaming potential, good poke in the early game, good peel, but she just doesn't make the edge where it comes to just making plays happen that can snowball the game. Do you guys understand me? And Alistair, he roams, he ganks the mid lane, boom, snowball. He gets a 4-man knock-up in a team fight, boom, nice. Or Rakan dashes in, 4-man knock-up, all get taunted. Nami ultimate, 4-man bubble into Nami ultimate with a Yasuo, boom. Wombo combo. That's why I think A tier is solid enough, guys. A tier is solid. Good. Galio, Braum, and Leona. I think they are pretty good supports with decent playmaking potential and good peeling and good crowd control, but just aren't as good as the other playmaking supports. So a solid, strong A tier. Senna support, honestly, I'm honestly happy that I don't see that many Senna supports. Even if you have the Divine Sun right now, but you rely on good team comps, you rely on your teammates to play with your pick, having a tanky front line, or going for a poke comp, but your carry potential or your playmaking potential is not that great on the Senna. Blitzcrank, hey, he does have the carry potential, he does have the snowball potential, but you rely so much on hitting hooks, it's kinda unreliable. Because it's a skill champion. You need to be skilled on him to pick people off, but it's also situational. If they're a tanky team comp, you really don't want to hook them. He's a situational champion. If you're good and proficient on him, you can definitely make him work. B tier is a solid B tier. Hey, solid. He's solid. You can make him work. I don't say don't pick him. I'm saying if you're good at hooking people, you can definitely make him work. Sona is okay as a support, definitely okay. She does have the ultimate though, but that's about it. Soraka, she has some healing. You can land a silence maybe. You can have ultimates. But honestly, have value in teamfights or have value in general to get the game going, to snowball, to make plays happen. You just rely on your teammates to be a good frontline. You heal them up and they carry you. And that's what you do. Seraphine, she does have good poke. Decent poke, she has the ultimate, but that's about it. Same for Lux, very squishy, good. Like, those champions are just very easy to gank and it's just easy to snowball against them. That's the issue. Usually, these champions are just ending up feeding and just being useless in teamfights. If you land a good ultimate, definitely can be good. If you land a good bind, can be good as well. But usually I just run Olaf and just run them down. I don't know, I don't like them. Mundo support. Let's just remove him. Do we remove him? I never see Mundo support. I honestly don't think it's good as well with Divine Thunder right now. Let's just remove. I should just remove Marshvll as well. These are trash picks. Let's put him C tier. Shit pick. Shen. You have the Tom as playmaker, but you're really not that tanky and your early game is very weak. Set. I really don't like it. I really don't like this pick. I think he is not that tanky, and he is weak in the early game. You do have some crowd control, but that's about it. He's much better in the top lane. I don't really like him as a support pick. Morgana has some crowd control. She's okay, but that's about it. If you catch someone with a bind, can be pretty good. But you definitely need frontline. That's the issue about enchanters. You rely a lot on having a good frontline. If you don't have it, you will struggle so much. Nami does have... The thing about Nami is she has insane peel. She has so good peel and poke. She has good utility. She has heal, attack speed. The ultimate is a game changer. Ultimate as peel and as a playmaking tool. Just so good. Amumu support is troll, is so weak. It's weak early game. It's just ultimate, nothing else. It's very weak. Malphite, just an ultimate bot, very weak early game. Without ultimate, you're useless. Pantheon, it's a cheesy pick, you need to snowball. If you don't snowball, you're just absolutely shit. And honestly, if you play good, against good people, you will never snowball on the Pantheon support. And then you fall behind way too quick as a Pantheon support. Mundo support, with Divine Sandra getting meta right now, everyone's just running Divine Sandra. You are really not that tanky. You don't have crowd control. You're trying to be a tank, but you can't even tank because everyone's just doing so much damage to you. But yeah, that's commit for the tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave your feedback down below in the comments. If I missed something, unlucky. I'm sorry. Few adjustments. I think the major adjustments are definitely Karma support, or Karma in general is absolutely broken right now. Karma Dragon, Karma support, Karma mid lane. She is the absolutely broken hot pick you guys need to abuse or ban. It's a must-have. Also, then Nasus, very underrated hot pick right now. Learn to play him, watch my video about Nasus, and then get going, but learn when to play him and how to play him. But yeah, that's it for the tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I see you next time. Bye-bye.
Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.